What is up, party people? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, this video is going to be for those Denver folks, maybe not Denver, but the front range folk that want to make their way up to the foothills and the mountains of Colorado. You've already been living here for a while. You've had probably the gift of equity over the past 8 to 10 years of just prices just pop. And you're like, gosh dang it, I want to get that mountain spot. I want to get that mountain Americana. In this video, I'm going to give you the steps, the things to think about, because some people just get paralysis by analysis. They start overthinking things, and so I'll take you step by step of things that I coach my clients on, things to do so you don't get too far ahead of yourself. And also in this video, I'm going to be talking about why now is a good time because of and despite the interest rates being higher and the market starting to cool. So if that is the video that you are into, you're in the right spot. Let's go. Before we get into the actual steps, I'm just going to hit you with a few reasons why now is a good time to do the sell and buy in this market. Because I get a lot of people that are looking to move to the mountains, and like the right mountain house is super important to them, and so they don't want to put their home on the market until they have first found the perfect property up in the foothills. And now is a great time for that, because as the market has slowed, interest rates have gone up, there's less buyers in the market, and sellers are now more willing at this time to accept an offer that is conditional on your current home selling. So accepting your offer, knowing that your home still has to get on the market and sell. Back a couple years ago, when interest rates were like 2.5, things were banana sandwiches, and sellers were not having it because they had 10 other offers that weren't contingent and they weren't having any of it. So now is a good time for this move to be able to sit and kind of wait and poach and then jump on the right property when it comes up. Prices have also started to stabilize, so we're not seeing the 10% appreciation, which is crazy. If you were thinking about, hey, we wanted to kind of ride this market out and see where the top is going to be, well, the market's still always going to go up a little bit, but we're definitely in a flattening out period. And so if you want to capitalize on the super sick equity that you have in your property, now is the good time to do it. And what we're seeing is some of the second home owners or investors are starting to liquidate some of their mountain properties, and that creates just more inventory for you. Once I get through the steps, I'm going to hit you with the reasons that the elephant in the room, the high interest rates, shouldn't be too big of a concern, and I'll give you a tactic to be able to alleviate the burden, because the other reason that I know a lot of sellers are sitting in their house currently is because they have a super sick 2.5 or 3% interest rate, and they're like, man, I just like have a really hard time digesting something that's like in the 6s or 7s. I get it. I got your back. Hang on till the end. Now, if you haven't been doing this already, the first step that I recommend is just start doing some recon. Go look at some of that house porn on Zillow or my site, moxiedenver.com. That's MOXIE, where you can look at all the foothill homes. But I think it's good just to start to eyeball some of these areas, some of these properties that might be a good fit for you, especially as we're coming into the fall. The mountains are absolutely gorgeous, and it's a great time to be driving in the mountains. So maybe go do a recon trip, check out some of these areas to try to identify some of the locations that you'd like to be in. Would you like to be in Conifer, Pine, Bailey, Blackhawk? Which area is right to you? Questions that typically come up are, where do you need to get to? Do you have to get back down the hill ever for work, or are you completely working remote? Do you have to get the kiddos off to school? All those elements will come into play about like how far you need to get to things. So that's where a lot of my clients will start off, just by trying to isolate some of these areas with a recon trip. And if you want to get an update each week of every new home to hit the market in all these awesome foothill communities that are about an hour from the greater Denver metro area, I have another channel called Altitude Living, where we walk you through every single new home hitting the market each week. There's about 35 of them to 45, and we hit them all. So go check out that channel if you're interested. As you're doing this like light initial just browsing these areas, don't get too caught up into the weeds with like access, slope, and how much acreage I need. So I'll say, like, for right now, just don't worry about like internet. that is so house dependent. We'll get to that later. And also I would say don't overthink acreage. I would at this point not set a parameter unless you're like, no, hey, I definitely want to have an acre or more. So at this point, we're so early on in the search, I would set it as low as what you are comfortable with. That way you get the opportunity to see everything that would be a good fit for you as we're just getting this process started. Some of the top areas that I get the metro folk that are moving up to that still want to be kind of close to greater Denver metro area are like Bailey, Blackhawk, Pine, Conifer, Indian Hills, Morrison, Golden. All of these areas are pretty well sought after. And a pro tip, once you hit that kind of 1 hour threshold from the greater Denver metro area, prices do drop where there's less like shopping and just travel is a little bit more, you get better pricing. So maybe once you get some of these areas identified, that's a good time then to reach out to me. What I'll do is come by. I'd love to come by, right? If you'll have me. Love to come by for a listing consultation for your current property. It's very non-committal, but it'd be good for you to understand and know what things you might want to do in order to get your home ready to go on the market. I'll explain here in a second. But also what your home is likely to sell for and how long it should take it to go under contract if priced right. And so once you have a good feel of what you're going to be walking away from after you pay your current mortgage, if you have one, and after you pay if you've taken off like a HELOC, or if you've did like mortgage forbearance during the COVID times, you took advantage of that, those will need to be paid back at the end when you close on your property. So once we get that number of what your property is likely to sell for, we can then just have you chat with a lender to find out what your pre-approval will be. And once we get your pre-approval, that's a good spot to be, because then we can have a buyer's consultation. So we have the listing consultation where we talk about what you should do to get your property prepped and ready to sell, what you're likely to be walking away with. We'll talk about our marketing strategy and plan of action to get your home sold for top dollar and quickly. But after that, let's talk about the type of property that you'd like to get into. We can do that first if you want, but now that we actually have the pre-approval amount, it's a good time to really dial in the numbers of the price point that you're comfortable with. And so we've kind of figured out some of these areas. I can give you recommendation on places to look. And after that, we'll get you set up in this custom automated home alert. Talk about the process, things to worry about when you're buying a house in the mountains, like well inspections, septic inspections, access, things like that we'll get into later. But we'll get that all set up, get you out there looking, and as you are beginning to look, we're gonna get this home prepped and ready just for photos. Okay, we're not listing your home just yet, but we're getting it pumped, ready, locked, and loaded so that when the perfect property does come up, you are able to write an offer, and then I am able to tell that seller of that property that they should have no worries about your home selling. We have a game plan. We have the photos already taken care of. And as soon as they accept our offer, we are going to put your home on the market. And this is our marketing plan of action to make the seller feel all the warm and fuzzies that they can feel confident that your property is going to sell. If you'd like to get a head start on things to do to prepare your home for photos, I have a great seller guide, preparing your home for the market guide, that you can put a link below. Actually, here's a QR code. So just take a picture of that and give you our guide. This is what we give during our listing presentations. A great guide, great tool, make available for you guys here, because we love you. If you appreciate that, appreciate us by giving me a thumbs up on this video. Helps it be seen by more people, and I love my YouTube people. So keep reaching out, keep supporting us. Thank you. So we're getting your home prepped. We're looking at properties on the market. As soon as we get those photos, everything ready to go, we are ready to write an offer. I mean, we could write an offer before that, but really like to be able to sell it, it really helps to have those photos and all the marketing plan of action like in place. So that's my recommendation. But when we go write an offer on the property and giving us enough time for that under contract to get your home on the market, get an offer for it, go under contract on it. We've even written in some of our offers from the buyer that's going to write an offer on your property, that this deal is contingent on you closing on this other property, just so you don't get in a weird spot. With that, we've got your back on that. And during that time, you're gonna have the inspection. I'll walk you through that. I have great mountain home inspectors, so depending if you're like well or septic or wherever, like however the property is positioned, there might be some additional things to just not be worried about, but to take into consideration. So getting you through all of that, and then ideally closing, maybe a couple day rent back on your current home. So selling your current home first so you have the funds, and then either closing like the next day on your or same day for the property that you're going to be buying. It's nice if we can get from the buyer of your current home a rent back period, so you can stay there for like maybe 2 or 3 days to make that transition from your home to the next. And so we look for opportunities to do that if possible. Now once all those dominoes fall, you are a mountain person. And the mountains are awesome. I can attest to that. I've been in the greater Denver metro area for about 15 years and just recently moved up to the mountains this past year, and I freaking love it. Been a city boy my whole life, wasn't sure if the mountains were gonna be for me, but I got a little bit of that like hippy dippy in me. I felt it in my chest. And I was like, let me go try this out. And I'm sold. I love it. So if I can help you do the same, I'm all about it. It gives me the warm and fuzzies. Now let me address the elephant in the room, which is the interest rates, and it's probably the biggest concern that I have from people looking to buy at this point, especially if you're going from like a 2.5% or 3% interest rate, and now it's going to be like 6.5 to 7. Well, we know that, just like home prices, they fluctuate a little bit, but typically go up. Interest rates, they do fluctuate, but they go up and down. It's nothing like the 18% that they saw back in the 1980s, but it is a little bit hard to grasp when you're sitting on this 2.5, 3.5%. I understand. But what we can do with the understanding that interest rates are likely to go down in the next 12 to 24 months to combat inflation and just kind of get the market back right, because our government loves screwing with interest rates. So they're likely to be coming back down, probably not to 2.5%, but they will be coming back again. And so you can do something, what we have is called a 2-1 buy down, or some type of buy down, where you get a credit from the seller, or put a portion of funds towards buying down that interest rate for the next couple years, with the understanding that now is a good time to do it, because when interest rates come back down in the future, there'll be another feeding frenzy. It'll be a lot harder to get your conditional home or contingent home sale offer accepted by that other seller when they have multiple offers at that time. So now is a good time to do it, even though there's higher interest rates. Get those rates maybe brought down a little bit to something that's more digestible, and then in the future, if interest rates come back down, you can always refinance and get to that lower rate, but not have to face all the chaos of what's going on in the market at that time. So if you want more information on some of these other areas, we have neighborhood tours and vlogs, so definitely check those out. And then go check out the Altitude Living channel, where we walk you through each new home to hit the market each week in the Foothills area. So other than that, you guys have a great time. Reach out to us. We love helping you out. I'm out. See ya. Peace. Also, I'd like to point out that my Chucky doll, my childhood friend, not Chucky, is my buddy. He is here. I didn't know where to put him. If you don't know the My Buddy doll, it is a boy's childhood doll. Like one of the first boys' childhood dolls that I loved for about a year, until Child's Play came out and then made him a murderer, killer that was sitting on my dresser watching me sleep as a child. So he has been back in my grandma's house in Negley, Ohio, right by East Palestine, for about 30 plus years, and my mom thought it'd be funny to give him to me. So there he is. He's looking creepy. I'll give you a little zoom in on him. Oh, those eyes. Nah, that's it. Terrifying, right? See ya.